What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. As always, I hope everybody is having a good one out there, enjoying your weekend, doing some fun shit, watching some spooky movies. I know it's been a pretty fun weekend for me. I'm about to head out the door up to West Branch, Michigan for Super Shogun Wrestling. And I feel like too many times than not, I start a lot of videos by saying I'm about to head out the door to Super Shogun because I tend to put off recording videos to the last second. I'd probably be late to my own funeral. But anyways, when this comes out on a Sunday at noon, I will be at Astronomicon, which is a big pop culture Comic-Con comic convention that we have in Metro Detroit. Going to meet Tony Todd and Mick Foley, that's the plan, but I might film a vlog for it. But either way, I know I'm going to do a complete walkthrough of the convention and probably a haul video, which will be coming out next weekend. But enough of that, let's get to the video at hand. This is one I'm very excited about, which was pretty easy but difficult at the same time. We're going to do my top 5 favorite John Carpenter movies. Now, I say that's a bit difficult and easy at the same time because John Carpenter is the master of horror. He is my #1 favorite director. I pretty much love every movie he's done. There's a couple I don't care for, like Memoirs of an Invisible Man and what's that newest one he did where they were in space? It was just okay, but even the ones a lot of people don't like are absolutely amazing. And this was kind of hard to cut some off, like for number 6 and number 7. I probably maybe should have done a top 10, but regardless, we're doing a top 5. Here are my top 5 favorite John Carpenter films. So, anyways, first up, we have a beautiful 4K Steelbook release from Scream Factory of The Fog. Now, admittedly so, this is a John Carpenter film I didn't see for the longest time. I never watched this one growing up. And let's again look at the Steelbook. It is beautiful. And I might be like in the minority here to put this in my top 5 compared to some others that are going to be missing, but I absolutely fell in love with this movie when I first watched it. I think I heard Garrett from Born to Be Rad mention something about this one time, saying The Fog was like a comfort movie that he could just put it on in the background when he's doing other things. And I kind of get that vibe from this movie where it's like atmospheric and everything. And I love that it's kind of just an old school classic ghost story. How it starts with the tale, and all that. And the setting on the beach with the pirates or whatever. They come back, 100 years later, 1,000 years later? I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's just the atmosphere in here. Tom Atkins is the man, like always. Adrienne Barbeau, absolutely amazing. Good cast all around. And what's fun about this movie is it's not like nonstop action, which, to be fair, a lot of John Carpenter movies are. He's mentioned a lot of times before, especially the way he shoots it with the long frame, that, he wants stuff to give time to react, time to settle in, which is something similar like in professional wrestling. I'm going to go have a match today. That's a very key opponent. If you don't give enough time in a movie for people to react, you can't get that emotion out of them. And I just love the scenery of this, and I just love the story. And even though it's a bit slow, I love the pacing of it, just the environment. This is kind of just, it's hard to describe why I love this movie so much. It's just got a charm to it, like an atmosphere. Like I said, it's the same to me where it's kind of a comfort film I could put on anytime. And I absolutely love The Fog. Next up, another Steelbook. One I think they would probably be upgrading on 4K pretty soon, like Scream Factory's doing, but Big Trouble in Little China. There's the Steelbook right there. It's all in the reflexes. I am a huge Kurt Russell fan, one of my favorite actors of all time, and I can't remember the other actor in here, the Asian guy. I can't remember his name. What is it? Oh, well, can't find it right now. But I absolutely love him in this movie as well. Also in Prince of Darkness. But this movie is just so much fun. Like I said, Kurt Russell, everybody knows the theme to this, the story. Drives a big rig and he's gambling in Chinatown. And these like ninjas steal his truck and he has to go get his truck back and help get his friend's girlfriend back that was kidnapped. But what's fun about this is if I try to describe the genre, like what would you say? It's like an action, thriller, kung fu, comedy, suspense. It's got a little bit of everything, and it's completely balls off the walls. Reminds me of like some Mortal Kombat elements with those like samurais or whatever the hell they are. But I just love how Kurt Russell plays it so dumb in this movie. Like when he gets kissed on the lips by that girl, and they're like, "Who's Jack Burton?" "I'm Jack Burton," or whatever he says. He's got the lipstick on his mouth. He's just an absolute badass. I think this is probably one of my very favorite Kurt Russell movies ever. One of my favorite John Carpenter movies ever. A lot different than a lot of the other films he did. I love Escape from New York and Escape from LA as well. You know, these are somewhat the closest similar to what Big Trouble in Little China is, but those didn't make my top five, though I love them. Big Trouble in Little China. Two amazing steelbooks, by the way. All right, and these are pretty much in order, especially at this point. And this is one I just rewatched less than a week ago. You know, I got all these movies I need to get to, and you know, you want to watch new stuff you haven't seen, new stuff, which I mean a lot of shit from like the 80s I just never seen, or 90s or whatever. But I always go back to the classics. Like I just watched Lost Boys on 4K the other night, and it was absolutely amazing. I could make a video about that too, but this is John Carpenter films. I'm getting off track, guys. Anyways, the 4K of They Live. I absolutely love this movie. Funny story, I probably have the most collectibles and memorabilia of They Live, because my friends just got it in their head it was my favorite movie, which it's one of my favorite movies. So everybody, whenever I had a birthday, they like, get them They Live shit, which I appreciate it. Can't go wrong. But what is it? Jack Nada? Is that the name he goes by in this? He doesn't, Roddy Piper, he doesn't actually have a name in the movie, but I love it. Roddy Piper, I'm a big pro wrestling fan, obviously. He's a drifter going into town. He meets David Keith, and Keith David, I should say. Their chemistry in this movie is so amazing. Gets a job at this construction site and starts noticing bullshit's going on. As I'm sure all you guys know the plot of this movie. In these sunglasses, you can see who's aliens on Earth or whatever. And I love John Carpenter's script in this, what he was going for, because I still believe in this a lot. It's like, look at something like Black Friday. I'm going to get this flat screen TV for a great deal. Yeah, but you wouldn't have bought the flat screen TV in the first place. So are you really getting a deal if it wasn't something you needed to buy? I guess that's the story of all of us physical media collectors as well. But, you know, anyways, I just love the idea of like how consumerism is kind of like controlling the narrative of the human race without us knowing, by like these aliens. And once again, Roddy Piper plays kind of how Kurt Russell did in Big Trouble in Little China. I wouldn't say he's dumb. He has his moments like when he gets kicked out of that window by that chick and everything, but he's much more badass. And I love it, man. All his one-liners, like when he goes into the bank. Mama don't like tattletales. You know, the obvious one, I come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And, you know, what's there to say about the fight? You know, one of the longest fight scenes and a very realistic fight. I absolutely love it. And like I said, his chemistry with Keith David, I keep saying it backwards for whatever reason. Absolutely amazing. You know, action, sci-fi. I love this movie. So happy Scream Factory put out like all Carpenter shit. You know what I mean? Okay, now I'm pretty sure you guys know what the final two are going to be. This one definitely was going to make the list. The one that kind of started it all, Halloween. The movie that created the slasher. I mean, aside from maybe Bay of Blood all the way back in the early 70s, this is pretty much the start of it. And I was lucky enough to go see this in the movie theaters recently, like a couple of years ago. And this really still holds up in a great release through Scream Factory. I don't care for the artwork so much on these hard slips, but I'm glad we got them. What is there to say about this? Everybody's seen this movie before. If you name Michael Myers Halloween horror movies, the Halloween season, like everybody associates this movie in general. I think even casual fans of horror would watch this every year. And I just love the slow burn of it, you know, the Babysitter Diaries kind of thing. Jamie Lee Curtis does amazing in this movie. I actually met Nick Castle at the same convention I'll be going to today when this video comes out. A couple of years ago. Amazing guy, one of the original Michael Myers, one of the nicest guys I ever met. But not really much to say about Halloween that hasn't been said already, so I'm not going to ramble on about this like I could, but it's the OG, it's the classic, in my top 5 horror movies of all time. Probably the best soundtrack, too, in any John Carpenter movie. All right, now The Belle of the Ball, my number 1 favorite John Carpenter movie. This is my number 2 favorite horror movie of all time, I'd say. That is The Thing. I love this movie, man. Like I said, it's got everything for me. We got Kurt Russell, who's my favorite actor. Keith David, again, am I going to keep saying it wrong? David Keith. I keep saying his fucking name backwards. What's wrong with me, guys? But I love Kurt Russell. I love the whole cast. I love the idea of the isolation inside this facility and whatnot. And, you know, I'm from Michigan. I work outside on second shift, so, like, I can relate to the winter elements and everything. And then on top of it, the story of, like, you don't know who the killer actually is the entire time, to the point you don't even know who it actually was at the end of the movie. Soundtrack's good on this, and most importantly, the practical effects are absolutely unbelievable in this movie. This movie blows my mind every time I've seen it. The first time I watched this on 4K, absolutely mind-blowing. Such a great movie. This one just really has it all. Like I said, the story's good. It's got a bit of a mystery element in it. All the characters are memorable. The acting's fun. The setting is perfect. The music is great. The gore, practical effects are amazing. I just don't like the scene with the dogs. You know, that's about the only thing. But I think everyone can relate to that. But this is my number one favorite John Carpenter movie. Top 5 of all time. Which I've mentioned it before, but, you know, my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time would probably be Return of the Living Dead, number 1. The Thing, Dawn of the Dead, Halloween. I can't think of a 5 just right off the top of my head. I'm putting on the spot. But anyways, these are my top 5 favorite John Carpenter movies. The Thing, Halloween, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China, and The Fog. Like I said, tons of honorable mentions. Assault at Precinct 13, Escape from New York, specifically over L.A. Prince of Darkness could have very well made the cut. So many good ones, but John Carpenter's the absolute man. Let me know in the comments what your top 5 John Carpenter movies are. Vampires, too. That's very underrated, by the way. But I could go on and on about John Carpenter. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I got to get ready for the show. If you're at Astronomicon today, holla at me. Other than that, thanks for watching as always. Blood Guts Gore. Check you guys next time.